Hey guys, here we are on Tuesday, what is today? April 7th, 2020, and things are a little bit crazy in the world as we manage COVID-19 and all the uncertainty that goes along with that. And as we've been going along here over the last few weeks with the ever changing dynamic of what's going on in the world and obviously in our veterinary practices, I've started to get a lot of questions about jobs and job opportunities and relief work and all kinds of things like that. So, this definitely reflects the uncertainty of the time that we live in because many of us are reevaluating our current jobs, and I wanted to take just a minute to explain why that might be happening. It's actually totally normal that in these times when we really feel like everything is out of our control, that we start to look at the areas that we can modify in our own lives. Now, to some extent, these are very good changes. So we may be looking at increasing some of our healthy habits, maybe stepping back, taking more downtime, creating more white space like I talked about last week. But the other thing that a lot of us do is we take a look at our current jobs and we start to think about leaving them. Now, there's all kinds of reasons why that might be a good idea, but there's also reasons why that might not be a good idea. And I just wanted to take a minute to talk to you about why it is that now may be seeming like the best opportunity for you to leave your job. It's just because of the things that you can and can't control. It's very, very common when stress is very high, when anxiety is really at its peak, that we start to look for things in our lives that we actually have control of. And for many of us, the job becomes the thing that takes the bulk of the burden. So it's very easy when we're completely stressed out about all kinds of things, or even one other specific thing, for us to tag that anxiety to the closest thing possible. It's kind of like just like when people get super stressed out and they yell at people who are like cashiers at the grocery store, right? It's not doesn't have anything to do with the cashier. It's just that stress level gets high enough that eventually it comes out. We see the same thing happening with changing jobs. When our anxiety level, our stress levels in our lives are increasing, many times we're looking for a way to get some instant relief. And if our jobs come with a stressful component, it's very normal for us to think about leaving them. The reason that we do this is because leaving a job is something we can control. That's a decision we can make. Where we can't make this pandemic go away, we can't make the impact of the pandemic be any different day in and day out right now for the people around us. We can decide just not to engage in different parts of our lives, and so our job often falls into this. So for those of you out there who are thinking about leaving your job right now, just know, number one, that it's a pretty normal thing to be thinking about doing, but number two, before you make that decision, just take a step back and figure out why. What are your motives for leaving? What are you hoping to gain by leaving your job right now? It's really important to consider that because it's very easy in these times where everything is uncertain for us to make decisions that we're not going to be happy with 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years from now. So just make sure that if you are making a major change like leaving your job, that you understand why you're doing it and that you really like your reasons and that you're going to continue to like your reasons as you move forward. Now, that all being said and done, these kinds of stressors and these world events and in this case the pandemic may be the catalyst that many of us need to reevaluate many things in our lives, and our jobs may be one of those things. So it might be the situation where life is too short and you've just decided you're ready to take a step in a new direction in vet med that you have considered doing before but you've been afraid of doing before. Maybe you've just been hesitant or it just wasn't the right timing, like all the excuses you gave yourself. Maybe you're in a situation now where you're like, crap, like I want to do this thing and it's time. Like I just need to figure out how to do it or I may never have the opportunity. If you're thinking about changing jobs from that perspective, again, just make sure that you like your reason, make sure that the decisions that you're going to be happy with as you move forward. But what I also wanted to share with you is that at JoyfulDVM, I created a job guide. It's an alternative careers job guide for veterinary professionals. And because I'm starting to get so many questions about alternative career paths for veterinarians and veterinary technicians, I went back in and I've updated that. So if you want to get a copy of that free guide, just go to joyfuldvm.com/job guide. And I go through 25 different types of jobs that veterinary professionals are qualified for, including kind of a comprehensive strategy on how to find those jobs because they're not as easy to find as you would think. So just simple job search engines don't always find them. So I go through some strategy on how to actually find those types of jobs. If you truly are in a situation where you're looking at changing your career to something different within vet med and you like the reason for doing it. But before you go in and you start looking for new jobs and all that, I just want to make sure that you're aware of why you're doing that, and that's just because it's changing the circumstance. Many of us do this, and we've done this as a coping mechanism to make it this far in vet med. You guys have probably heard me use the term job hoppers. I was absolutely one of those people. So when you find that your job is so stressful and you come up with all the reasons that you hate your current job, you start to look for a new one. And once you get into the new one, everything is wonderful for a while. But the reason that it's wonderful is just because the circumstance is different. The environment is different. All the thinking patterns that you had in the previous job that was miserable, those patterns, if you haven't done anything to address them, they do come back. And so for any of you guys out there who have had 2, 3, 4 jobs and you kind of have started to notice that the same things start to happen everywhere, your brain's going to offer you the option that vet med was just a terrible career choice, that you're just not cut out to do this job, that there aren't any great jobs in vet med. What I want you to see is that's actually not true at all. Those are just defense mechanism thoughts that your brain offers you. It's just trying to protect you. So that's pretty normal. But what your opportunity is not to keep jumping around to find the exact right perfect fit for you, but to understand why it is that in every job you've had, the same thought patterns keep coming up. What's happening that makes you think the bosses are terrible, the schedule is awful, the clients are entitled, the technicians are bossy, whatever it might be? What's happening over and over and over again that you find yourself in the same situation over and over and over? The common denominator there, my friends, is you. And I'm not saying that to be harsh. I'm saying that with much compassion. And what I want you to recognize is that it's actually really, really good news. Because if you've started to see the same pattern happening over and over and over, no matter what job you're in, that doesn't mean that vet med is a totally wrong choice. That doesn't mean that this profession is just jacked up beyond repair. What that means is that you are the common denominator. You actually have some power to do something about it. But that takes stepping back and truly understanding what's making you unhappy. Until you understand what's really making you unhappy, you're never going to find the right position in vet med. And I'm talking, it doesn't matter if it's clinical or if you go into one of these alternative careers. If you don't figure out what's going on with you and why it is that you're so unhappy, any alternative career in the world is still not going to fill that void. It's still not going to be the thing that makes everything okay for you. So keep that in mind as you dig into this alternative job guide that I've created. It's joyfuldvm.com/job guide, totally free, 5-page PDF that I put together for you guys. If you have any questions as you go along it, don't hesitate to reach out and ask me questions. I'm always happy to answer them. And then if you're ready to figure out why it is that you have this pattern of changing jobs but never finding the right place, the right fit for you in vet med, and you're ready to try to figure out what it is that might be going on with you that's keeping you from being happy in vet med, then I definitely recommend that you check out my brand new free course. It's a little mini course that I put together. You can do it completely on your own time. And that's just over at joyfuldvm.com/free course. And you can enroll in that and start to learn a little bit about why it is that you're unhappy in vet med and what you can actually do about it to make yourself happy in this crazy, ever-changing, dynamic world of vet med that we all exist in. All right, guys, stay safe, be well. If there's anything I can do to help you, don't hesitate to reach out and ask. And I'll see you next week. Take care.